Welcome in to Tuesday night. Welcome in for 30 Books in 30 Weeks. It is negativity talk time. Um, so I introduced our book for this week yesterday, and I got some interesting, feedback from the subject matter. So that's always a good and interesting thing when that happens. It always tickles me how people interpret things and how they assume ownership over stuff that, like, I wasn't talking about you, but if the shoe fits, if the negativity fits, if your ugly attitude fits, by all means, wear it. What do they say? If the shoe fits, lace it up. So, but it's funny that we would be talking about negativity and somebody would catch an attitude about talking about negativity, and then you like, see, that's why I don't fool with you. And you were exactly the type of person that I'm talking about, but I wasn't specifically talking about you or anyone in particular. But just goes to show, like, you just never know how people are going to internalize things. And I think I was sharing on the video last night how nothing really has a meaning until we assign a meaning to it. So they assigned some ownership to something that I said yesterday, and it didn't have nothing to do with them. But as soon as they came at me sideways about my live stream yesterday, I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, so I could see why you would think that I was talking about you, because the shoe definitely fits. You got like on high top J's, because your negative attitude is so bad it probably did fit just that well. What's up, T? Hey, Alfred. So anyway, Negaholics No More. This is the subject matter for this week's 30 Books in 30 Weeks. For those of you who are joining in, feel free to share the video out, invite some other folks into the conversation, especially if you know somebody with a funky attitude. If you know somebody that needs an attitude check, a reality check, this might be the week that they need to check out 30 Books in 30 Weeks and give them that subliminal message on the down low, like, check this out. You might need to listen up. But anyway, so I'm kidding, but not really kidding. There are some people that really truly need to have the conversation. But anyway, so if you're just coming in for the very first time, my name is Marcy Batiste. I am America's #1 reality-based success and recovery trainer. I'm sold out to my happiness, and I live life on Mars, and those are non-negotiables for me, especially being sold out to my happiness. And the things that excite me and move me is really being able to be a spark that ignites a light for somebody else to shine, particularly giving other women the tools for their toolbox that they can go out then and help somebody else along. Don't come for me. You know what I'm saying, T? Like, they really thought I was after them, like it was not personal, but they took it so completely personal, and I just had to laugh about it. Like, are you serious right now? You think, like, anyway, I digress, but I won't go there. But yeah, so it's proof positive that there's just all kinds. I titled this video that there's levels to this like, all negativity is not created equal. There's levels to this here thing. And so it was funny because I was looking over, they said there's 4 categories of negaholics in the book. And so they talk about the attitudinal negaholic, which is somebody who appears to be extremely successful, but and they wear a mask. They make everything look good, but inside they're tormented because they never feel like they're successful enough. They never feel accomplished enough. Yes, T, if the Jordans fit, honey, he had them laced up. She had them laced up. But anyway, so that's an attitudinal negaholic. They never, nothing's ever good enough for them. Even as far as what they do for themselves is never good enough for them. And so that's somebody that has just that negative attitude. Nothing's ever good enough. But if you looking outside looking in, they appear to be extremely successful. They appear to have everything all together. And when I was reading the descriptions, I'm like, that's the kind of negaholic I used to be. And I share with people, like, I used to be a really toxic person, and it took a lot of work to change my attitude. I had to change my attitude. But that was me. Like, inside, I never felt like I was enough. I never felt good enough or smart enough or anything. But on the outside, like, I'm corporate ladder, vice president of a bank, like, all intents and purposes, it appears everything is gravy, right? But in my mind, like, nothing was ever good enough. And then there are the behavioral negaholics who tend to succeed kind of in spite of themselves. So, but they're extreme. So they're extra everything. That's the kind of people I used to hang around. And I have some of those characteristics as it relates to like exercise and nutrition. So when I'm either all the way on like my diet and my exercise, I'm all the way off. Like there's not the middle area. There's no ground zero for me. It's like one extreme or the other. And so I have a positive attitude, but I still have, and what I'm trying to show you guys is that even with a positive attitude, there are still certain parts of your psyche that are have negative tendencies. And so like that being extreme is one of those behavior patterns that you have. And so sometimes in order to cure the negativity, you have to really start adjusting and addressing behavior patterns. And so one of the things that I talk about with my clients, particularly raising the bar is going to start up again here at the during summer, and one of the things I always talk to them about is habits. Like your habits are either going to make you or they're going to break you. Your habits are more your habits and your thoughts. Josiah, what's up, baby? That's it. Like it's one of the two things. It's your habits and it's your thoughts are more detrimental to your success than just about anything else. Way more so than any external factors ever possibly could be. The other one is a mental negaholic. So a mental negaholic is somebody who just is constantly berating themselves. You don't have to say anything bad to somebody who's a mental negaholic. They're going to criticize themselves enough for both of you. They're going to be hard enough on themselves. And it's that negative self-talk that keeps them from being successful, because they keep telling themselves that they're not good enough, that they can't do the job, that they don't have the skills, that they don't have the training, that nobody's going to want to work with them, that nobody's going to trust in them, nobody's going to pay them. Like those are the people that end up undercharging themselves and undermining their businesses because of the negative self-talk that they've told themselves about what it's worth. Again, not what the people on the outside have said. It's a negative self-talk. And then the other one are the verbal negaholics. And the book describes those as hopeless, helpless, and resistant to change. And those are the people who don't even know they have a problem. They don't even recognize that they have a negative attitude. It's just like, that's just who I am. They have the that's just who I am, deal with it kind of attitude. And when you're that cut and dry and you can't say to yourself, I maybe have some room to grow, I have some things that I can improve on, no matter how great you think you are, no matter how great you think you are, no matter how successful you feel like you are, there's always some area, something, some way, somehow that you can improve. And a lot of that is our mental and emotional thought processes. And so it was like I was sharing at the beginning of the video about the person who inboxed me after yesterday's video and was like, I don't really think it's appropriate that you're just out there, oh God, how do they say it? That you're just out there online pointing fingers, or basically something like that, that I was pointing fingers at people for being negative. And I'm like, I wasn't pointing, like maybe you should go back and watch the video again. I didn't point fingers at anybody. What I said was, and so I stated some of the conversation, and I'm like, one thing that I always do is I include myself, because I've been here, I've been toxic, I've been negative. Yeah, I did a lot of work to change a lot of that, but I still have more work to do. I think I shared in the video last night, somebody had told me that I can come across really unapproachable. And like I had to receive that. Like, where does that come from? Where does that stem from? Is it an image thing? Is it they just don't really know me? Is it somebody who's on the outside of my inner circle? Because I could definitely see how that could come across in that situation. But I don't ever take it personally. But it doesn't mean that I don't have work to do. And so that's what was so funny to me, is that we're on the subject of negativity, and that somebody would inbox and think that because I don't, basically it stemmed from the fact that I don't really deal with this individual anymore. Yeah, the person's got a shitty attitude, but it was beyond the attitude, because I can kind of coach through some attitude issues with people sometimes if the relationship is important enough to me. But it went beyond just the attitude, and it was a trust issue and a loyalty issue. And so if we have a trust and a loyalty issue, that just means you have to be taken outside of my inner circle and put on the outer rim. And I've talked about the inner circle versus the outer rim many times on my videos. And so it was interesting to me that it was somebody who was more towards the inner circle, is now very much on the outer rim, that would take offense to this and actually inbox me and ask me questions about it. And it's like, maybe instead of pointing fingers at me for doing a video about people with shitty attitudes, you should really work on your attitude. And that's really how I feel about it. And I did share that with this individual, that your issue is not with me. Your issue really is with yourself. Because if you feel that someone is calling you out because you have a bad attitude, you need to kind of maybe make a self-assessment, because no names were ever mentioned. I didn't even direct it to, I'm saying broad things like some people and this, that, and the other thing. And this is an individual that I haven't had any contact with of any significance in well over a year. But it just goes to show that you never know what stories other people are telling themselves about you, about themselves, about the situation, about the relationship. You don't know what labels they've assigned to it. You don't know what significance they've attached to it. And so therefore you've got somebody out there, and I always say, like, I don't have haters, I have admirers, right? And it's just kind of a joke. But you never know how somebody else is out there feeling about you. But you can't let that stop you. Like, you still have to go out into the world. You still have to show up every single day. You still get the right to live your best life, regardless of what somebody else thinks. Everybody knows the saying, what other people think about you is none of your business, right? I don't need to know, because I made a decision to alter how someone was in relation, how I was in relation with someone else, based on what was best for me, what soothes my soul, what makes me sleep at night, what makes me comfortable. And when we have a loyalty and a trust issue, you are always going to end out on the outer rim. You'll never be on the inner circle once there's a trust issue, unless it's a situation where that can be repaired. So, again, so I was trying to think, I was like, okay, so where does this individual fall in the scheme of these four categories of negaholics? And so I was thinking it's definitely a mental, because it talks about the constantly, negative messages that you're telling yourself. And then I was thinking verbal, the helpless, hopeless, and resistant to change. Like, you really came for me instead of, first of all, why would you internalize a generalized video? But when I look at these categories, and so when you see somebody with a negative attitude, I want you guys to start thinking about, okay, so what category are they in? Are they an attitudinal negaholic? So they're really super successful, but they're telling themselves messed up stuff. And so, they feel like they're faking the funk. That could be. Then that's going to affect how they interact with you. Or are they a behavioral negaholic, which it says that they may succeed in spite of themselves, but they usually miss the mark because they're always too extreme. They're just too much. And we all know those people who are just too much. Like, you're doing too much. You're doing too much. And so you have to separate sometimes those individuals, or at least teach them to engage with you in a different manner. And that's really what this is about. And then there's the mental negaholics, like I said, that's constantly telling themselves negative stuff about them. They have a really problem with their negative self-talk. They have massive, monumental limiting beliefs about themselves and about other people and the good of most of society. Like, all people aren't bad. Not everybody's out to get you. Like, knock it off. Just stop. Just stop. And then there's the verbal ones, the helpless, the hopeless, and resistant to change. And so I was really thinking about that person. So it'll be interesting now, because now I have talked about the situation. If I get any more inboxes. But that's the other thing too. Like, inbox me, like, you don't have my phone number. Like, let's call me. Let's have a conversation about it. Let's be grown up about it. But you want to handle it by text message or messenger or whatever. And so to me, in my mind, that just shows that we need to up level. We need to increase the maturity level of the relationship. We need to increase the maturity level of the conversation. And you're not in that place, and I'm okay with that. You want to deal with it through Messenger, we'll deal with it in the method that you choose, but the outcome is not going to be any different. You will not be in the inner circle, and if anything, you're farther on the outer rim now as a result of this than ever, because you don't want you don't want to change. You don't want to talk it through. You don't want to figure out, like, where was the breakdown, like why aren't we close anymore. So you're not willing to ask those questions. And and I reminded them of the last conversation that we had, and I explained, like, I really can't do you. I really can't do you. And I explained, the attitude piece, the resistance piece, all of that. So I share all that to say, be aware that people's negativity shows up in different ways. It doesn't show up the same for everybody. It's not all created equal. But you have to be able to be aware of the signs of negative behaviors and negative attitudes in order to protect yourself from and be able to better manage the relationships with people based on where they are emotionally and what is their negativity level. Just being in tune to that, and being in tune to, for me, it's how I'm perceived, right? I have to constantly be aware of that. Does it mean that I'm going to always change to accommodate? Nope, it does not. But does it mean that I can't, that I refuse to be aware that there are some things that I could do differently that would help people understand me better? Absolutely. I'm totally okay with that. I'm totally okay with knowing that I need to grow, and that I need to maybe do some things different, especially when there are relationships that are important. You don't ever want somebody to misinterpret an action or a behavior that can be simply explained, and help them to understand how you are, how you think, where that comes from. That's always an option. So that's the message from tonight, guys. Negaholics No More, week 24 in 30 books in 30 weeks. So feel free to share the video out. If you missed any of our 30 books in 30 weeks, they're always on my YouTube channel, and they are in the link with the title of the video for today. So as always, thanks for living life on Mars with me, and welcome to the Ultimate Power Team. I'm glad you're here. We'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Have a good one.